Why are you touching my football, man? What are you doing?
It's community football.
Oh, my fault. Billy broke my computer with it. Hey, it's TexAgs Rewind. Welcome in. What was your favorite moment of the baseball season this year? We're going to ask the fan show guys their opinion on that. We got to do rapid fire, and I want you to comment below what you don't have to be. You can take your time typing. However long you want to take, no problem. Lee, favorite moment this year in baseball?
Favorite moment, the walk-off against Louisville.
I love it. Kelly?
Conch's walk-off home run earlier in the season.
We'll love it. A lot of walk-offs. Roy?
Beating the Sips twice.
Yeah.
Love
Which
it.
included a walk-off.
And also included sending them home.
Yes, sir. All right, so that's the fan show, guys. I'm David Nuno. On the show today on TexAgs Radio, we had OB back. So this dude did not sleep. He does the game, writes his report, gets in the car, drives, shows up at the station or the studio at 6 a.m., stays, does a hit for a full hour. Guy's crazy. That's OB for you, the professional. Billy Liucci reflected on a historic year. Thank you for Billy for coming in. And John Scheschuk also talked a lot about Aggie baseball. And these knuckleheads right here, the fan show here on TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. They want you to visit T-Mobile.com/across America to learn how you get more value and coverage through T-Mobile. Yes, I've memorized it. Here's the show. What a amazing run. And to be very honest, this team, at one point, I was like, I don't know how good they really are. And then at another point, I'm like, there's nobody that can beat them. And even yesterday, when it looked like the offense couldn't get going, I still thought, well, until there was 2 outs, it didn't really hit me like it's close to being over. Because I looked at these numbers. This offense, the last time that they scored less than 4 runs was the game against Florida on May 28th. Mm-hmm. And then before that was an 11-1 loss to Vandy on April 29th. So every game beyond that, they scored 4 or more runs, and typically it was more than 4 runs. It was more 5, 7, 9, 11. And that's why I was like, eventually they're going to figure this out.
Yeah, I thought they would because that David Sandlin of Oklahoma, the starting pitcher, who was brilliant. On Sunday, or not Sunday, I'm on Friday. He came in relief, and they hit him pretty well. And he had not pitched particularly well in
2 prior starts, yeah.
In several starts. Yeah. So I thought, they're going to get to him. But, he did a kind of a Nathan Detmer thing for them. Yeah. And I think I started getting the feeling, okay, this isn't going to be the Aggies' day. I think it was either the 4th or 5th inning, and the first 2 runners got on, and then he struck out the next 3. I'm like, okay, this isn't going well. And
you have 12 strikeouts?
He had 12, and then the reliever came in, and Michael, and he got 1. So 13 strikeouts. You're not going to win many games like that. And they did get the home run from Dylan Rock, but they were never. I think they only had 5 hits. They weren't able to bunch them together. And how many times over the last month or so, 6 weeks, did you hear Jim Schlosnagel say things like, we're going to have to get better here and here because you cannot count on outslugging the opponent all the time.
Yep.
And, it was one of those times he was proved prophetic.
One of the things that really stuck out to me about Sandlin, the Oklahoma pitcher, was how locked in he got when he needed to be locked in. Runners in scoring position, he'd find ways to get Ks. You would think, all right, Aggie's got a couple guys on, let's go. He would get locked in.
Well, the Aggies were 0 for 4 with a runner in scoring position, and all 4 outs were strikeouts. Mm-hmm. They didn't even get the ball in play.
Let's talk about what this season means long-term. You heard Schloss yesterday talk about renovations happening, hopefully sooner. Do you feel that this kind of season kind of can move the needle in that way?
Yeah, for sure. And it should. But there's a process. I mean, but I think there are people that matter, that get it. And there are people lining up, excited about what just took place over there across the tracks and what the future is. Not the long-term future, but the immediate. And that's what's so exciting about A&M sports right now is you look and you look at football and that recruiting class and kind of like we all sitting here going, well, what would have happened last year if Haynes would have been healthy all year? And you could be talking probably back-to-back New Year's Six. Like that thing's we're here. Mm-hmm. We're at that point, right? Baseball, when Schloss was hired, I think I would have sat here and said it's going to be a very quick turnaround. Just look at his track record. Look at how he's going to be able to recruit here. Look at the staff he put together. But by very quick, I would have thought maybe scrap your way into a regional year one. That would have been, in my opinion, that would have been a really good first season to go from not making the SEC tournament to a regional. And then maybe year two, maybe you're a regional host. Maybe you get to a super. And I would have thought by year three he could have them in Omaha, which is that to me that was a like man, and then go regularly after that. But to get him there in year one, to get to the Final Four in year one, and be one step away from the championship series, and to do it with some weaknesses in the roster, no doubt. Just the coaching, again, I can't talk enough about the job those coaches and players did. But sometimes when I say with the weaknesses in the roster, I feel like, well, is that a shot at it's not a shot at the players. It's just the reality. There were certain areas where they just didn't quite have, what they needed, but they worked around it, and guys would step up at certain times or different aspects of the team would raise up. Maybe it's a series where they had to score 11, 10, and 8. Or like we saw in Omaha with, Detmer and Moo get knocked around in that first outing, and then they both come back against Notre Dame and they're just absolute badasses. Or it's Micah Dallas hitting that long rut during the season, and then in the postseason just putting it together and being a total stud out there on the mound. So, or it's the bullpen that struggled early in the year. Remember the blown leads?
You can't
even remember that anymore. Like, it doesn't even seem like
Frisco.
Yeah, and what they've done in the last couple months is incredible. What they did in Omaha was incredible. Outside of that OU, you come back and you look at Texas, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma yesterday. You mentioned Jacob. That was unreal.
Let's discuss a little bit how fun that year was for you to watch from afar.
So much fun, and probably will say a lot of what's already been said, but what a great group. I mean, just the continuity of the team, the leadership that Schloss provided in his first year, incredible. The unity of that team, just the feel of them, their can't lose attitude, their fighting attitude. I mean, everything that embodies Texas A&M, these guys put on display. So one of the best seasons I've ever seen. Obviously, it was the best result of a season that A&M baseball's had, so that in itself is amazing. But what an incredible year, incredible group of guys, and a lot of pieces returning. So bright future for A&M, but yes, incredible season that will never be forgotten for sure.
One of the things that stood out to me was the genuine love from former players, like how they – because this is a new program for them, right? New coach. I mean, you guys, many of you played against TCU and Schloss, but the genuine excitement level for the growth of this program and where this team went and is headed.
Well, look, whether it's a family, and you know this with 4 kids, whether it's a church, whether it's a business or a baseball team, it's all the same. It all starts with a leader. And Schloss has come in there and has reestablished A&M as, one of the programs, if not the program. Or I should say is established. We've never been considered in that category. And I'm talking about the elite of the elite, a Final Four team, a team that's, pushing for national championships. I mean, let's just be honest, that's never been where this program has been before. So for him to come in and establish that culture in year one is an incredible accomplishment. It gets everybody fired up. And baseball is now, one of the mainstays in collegiate sports. This is no longer a fringe sport that's over the tracks, just kind of sitting there. This is now a marketing sport. This is now a money-making sport. So the sport itself is big time. You're starting to get players that are going from college baseball to MLB very quickly. So you've got a lot of factors involved with baseball. But what Schloss has done with this program and the support that we have at this university has elevated us to that next level. And I'm excited to see where the program goes from there. And all of the former players feel that way, for sure.
I'm glad you brought up the popularity of college baseball, because I feel like, and maybe it's because I'm in this chair this year, but there was a lot more excitement this year, but for the entire sport. Like, I'm seeing people tweet about it that don't normally tweet about it. I'm seeing it on PTI. I'm seeing it in other areas, although the PTI guys thought the game was too long. But that being said, I'm seeing it more than I've ever seen for college baseball. Is that the feel that you got as well, beyond just being an Aggie fan?
Yeah, for sure. And if I were running college baseball, which I'm not, and if I were running professional baseball, which I'm not, I would continue to squeeze that MLB draft down. That COVID year helped a ton. And some of the national guys talked about this on their broadcast. I can't remember if it was Ben McDonald or Burke or one of those guys at ESPN, but they talked about how the draft squeezing down has players that normally wouldn't be in college baseball, that they're now in it. The A&M had several of those guys this year, fifth-year guys that in the past would have been long gone in pro ball. But because of the condensed draft, you start to see some higher skill level, and that's what I would like to see. I mean, you get MLB down to 10 draft, picks a year, and you're going to see a lot more of these pro-ready type players in college baseball. And you combine that with just a total commitment that the SEC and the ACC and a few teams in the Big 12 have, you're going to continue to see the sport rise. You're going to see big league talent on the field in college baseball. And you'll continue just to get more and more fan support, more and more TV support, and more revenue, which leads to just further reinvestment in the sport as a whole.
Lee, why don't you start us off? What's on your mind?
How could you not love what just happened?
Yeah.
That may be the most exciting thing that's happened in Aggie land in 20 years. That team, most exciting moment. You kind of sent that out as a what are you thinking about kind of thing. Most exciting moment has to be the walk-off there with Louisville. The 12th man steps to the plate and singles to right to win it in front of a capacity crowd. But if you were watching the press conference yesterday after the game, my goodness. These guys that come in for 1 year and they leave loving this school and this team, fantastic stuff. Just love the whole thing, love that team. They will go down as legends in Aggieland.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, when I think about the last 20 years, some of the greatest moments, you got the Bama game, you've got AC Law, obviously, and
the women's basketball national championship.
Women's basketball national
Softball
championship.
team made a run 1 year.
But what we saw this past weekend, there's a lot of those kind of moments in there, like this past week, from the Texas win to the performance from Nathan Detmer. So we got a lot of those. Kelly, I'll go to you. What is on your mind?
I've been talking about this for probably a week now, maybe 2 weeks. I look at this baseball team kind of like the ingredients of a cake. Most of them aren't that good by themselves, but cake's pretty good.
Nice.
Put it all together and you bake it, it's pretty good. And the starting pitching wasn't that great most of the season. The bullpen pitching highly inconsistent. The bats were great. Base running was good most of the time, but not all the time. Fielding was awful. And they're a pretty good baseball team.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good. And it's just fun to watch the guys grind it out and make it happen, whatever it is. We need hits today. We need a big start from Detmer. We need a big start from Dallas in the SEC tournament. Somebody just stepped up and we did it, and it's just fun baseball.
And Palish went, like 87 pitches yesterday?
I don't know how he did that. His arm needs an ice bath.
Yeah.
Or two.
What a performance. Roy?
I'm more of a big picture kind of guy.
Yeah.
And obviously that was just an absolute blast. And how Aggies, we love our baseball.
We do.
But kind of tucked in there in the social media was the fact that, we had some track and field athletes go to nationals, and we had Joni Taylor coaches the under 18 women's national USA team. They won the gold.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about all these hires that we have, and I've seen, you were talking about that softball run a few years back, and I've seen how this fan base will jump on that too. And all these chips are kind of falling into place right now. Mm-hmm. And we know what we have with football, and we're excited. We definitely know what we have with baseball. When we got him, we're like, man, we hope this is the right, pulling the right trigger, making the right hire. Even though he's proven, you just never know how it's going to work out in a different setting. You obviously have track and field, you have basketball. So it's men and women's basketball. So all of a sudden we're looking at this, instead of just man, that was a fun baseball run, and that's kind of the end of the year athletically. We're looking forward to football, and we're looking forward to basketball, for the men and women's side, and everything is kind of gelling together for us to finally truly enjoy like sports all year long.
A full calendar, right? Yeah.
Well, and didn't you ask, like, doesn't it feel like, the off season was shorter? Well, yeah, because normally we're done playing baseball in May.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah. So this has been just such a fun ride, and I hope that everybody kind of understands, like, you need to settle in and get used to this kind of schedule, because this is what it's going to be like a lot more often than not.
Tell me something good. I don't care. Everybody, tell me something.
Aggie athletics is in a great spot right now.
I like that, Lee.
Yes, like we are basically on the launching pad, and the engines are roaring.
Love it.
We just went to Omaha. It's great.
And won 2 games.
2 games.
Yeah.
We did. But
two of many, many to come.
nobody at this table actually went to Omaha, just to be clear, right?
No.
I tried. Does that count?
I stopped halfway for a family vacation. I was in Texoma.
Yep. So we want the people to do what, Lee? What do they want to do?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Anything else they need to do?
Comment.
What about you? Sure.
He already said you.
Yeah, but you can say it different.
Yeah, obviously share.
Send it to your...
Put it all over your social media.